Tom DeVries, and you probably
This
don't know
meeting
Lisa
is
down
being
there.
recorded.
There's a couple of people I've nudged to come on in and come get spicy with us on the conversation.
Okay. All
Let's
right.
go.
Awesome.
So, I just got to get myself set up with a couple things, and I think, Uday, you said you have to leave because you've got another one of these today, where
Yes,
you're
that's right. The
presenting.
Rosenfeld webinar right
Yeah.
after this.
And then Joe, we got to run to other things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
got a full
Oh,
afternoon, full evening.
yeah. But I was hoping, yeah, we get this running. I've got another designer that'll be watching in the wings. And let me check out my three not join. Looks like, yes, let me actually. Oh, yep. Okay. Get them going. But I have questions I'm going to run. I got a couple of those polls, I think I said. So,
Yeah.
should be good. And actually, I'm going to nudge my folks to make sure they're ready. Do you have any other like I was really hoping we keep this conversational today. Because I don't like it to feel real forced, right? Just
Right.
keep it going. But I'm
Yep.
gonna try and do our best to pay attention here. Let's see. Ooh, this could be a bad idea. There's an AI companion in everything, it feels like now. So there's like three things trying to join at the same time. Um, but I was hoping, we try and pay attention where people are. I was gonna semi-invite them into the conversation as it gets going. Like if somebody wants
Mhm.
to speak up and say something like, come on, let's just keep open up this as a conversation. Um,
Sure.
but having you guys be the primary voices in here, and I was hoping Uday, you get the chance to kind of like highlight that framework, the
Mhm.
four B's.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure.
And Joe, I thought like I called out that one because it's one I'm familiar with, but if there's other ones that or other things you've been trying, I'm really hoping people really see the how, and talk some tactics of like things you've been navigating that you can safely speak to. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Got some
Okay.
Copilot, notebook example, things like that. So
Okay. I'm
good.
gonna let in April. Let you guys meet April here. And then we should slowly have more and more people come on in. So,
Yeah.
hey April, got you in here.
Hello.
Hello. April, like you meet Uday and Joe, if you haven't met Joe before.
Hi, April.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
But April, I was gonna say I really do need your help helping me call out or pay attention to the people in the chat. I'm gonna try and do my best to pull that up and have that running too. Um, but we've got a couple polls here to run and then so we've got about 30 people signed up. However, I don't know about you, Uday, but I think of like typical attrition.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, we're not going to have everybody show up. And actually, you just got me reminded, Udi, I don't know if am I saying your first name correctly? And I would say Gandhar. Is that right? Or how do you say it, your last
It's
name?
a Gajendar.
Good gender. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I've been trying to learn too much Spanish lately.
That's all right.
So,
Yeah. No, I totally get it. It happens a lot.
okay, okay. Do you want me to still introduce like on your new, oh shoot, I didn't put it on my own notes here, but your new company role? Put it on the
Sure.
other.
I mean,
Oh
it's
no.
my LLC and
Yeah.
principal and founder. I don't know why I say co-founder. I mean, the
Oh,
co-founder is
yeah.
my AI. Mean, it's like it
Okay.
was
There you
kind of
go.
AI generated.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get that up. And I see, let's see. We've still got a couple minutes, so nobody's joined yet. But I was saying, yeah, typical attrition. I will be delighted if we get at least 10, 12 people in here.
Yeah,
So
I was about to
30
say,
sign up
yeah.
is like still great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Lou estimates as well for the free webinars. You'll have like 60 or 70 sign up, but really it's like 20 that shows up.
Yeah.
So
So still good. But
yeah.
And what
yeah.
about crowd participation? How often do they inject or, they raise their hand? Or is there a protocol for this?
Well, I was hoping, actually that's right. I should probably put that invitation right at the beginning of like, yeah, please raise your hand. Like that would be nice. Let you guys finish your thoughts so they don't just jump in. But if you know Tom, I gave Tom a nudge, like, show up, Tom, come on over and have the conversation with us. And I might have to cut off from speaking. So,
Okay.
as he will talk for a while. But I do want to, it's not forced, like we don't have to get through all these topics, but my hope is that we get to the practical and actual leadership content at the end.
Mhm.
And then I will leave it more open for questions. So, and even if we don't go there, we might just go back to telling more stories, and letting people dive in. But last time we ran this, we actually did have some really healthy questions come up at the end. And I really wish I had more of that. So, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Great.
I see Lisa's coming. Great. And Lisa actually joining. She's also really fun to get talking. So you guys will enjoy her. She's in Minneapolis. Used to run her own studio there in Minneapolis. So,
Thanks.
um, da, da, da. So I'm gonna give it, oh, I guess it's 3 o'clock. We can open it and let people just start coming in. Um, and I'm just trying to see if yeah, nobody else can see the waiting room, right? I assume it's just me. So, um, all right, cool, cool. I'm gonna let Lisa in and okay, sorry, let me come back to our Zoom. We'll get going. All right. So, hey Lisa.
Hey,
Long time no see.
wow, this is so exciting here.
I know. And wait till you see. I've got Nicole nudging her to come on over. So it'd be great to see her. Um, there she is. A few more in here. Well, we got some folks coming on in. So I'm gonna give it just a couple minutes, then I'll do some introductions. But yeah. So da, da, da. Maybe. Hey, there's Nicole. Um, maybe I'll go ahead. Let's see, because we're at I'm just too excited to get started. But I figure we can go ahead and I'll let people in and I'll just start the introductions and then I'll ask some questions where everybody's from. And you guys feel free, as we get going today, I mean, if you want to put your hand up or take yourself off mute, this is really a holistic conversation. I've got questions for Uday and Joe, but I'd really love to invite anybody to go ahead and pitch in. And I'm assuming more people will be start rolling in here as we get going. But I'll quick do the introduction here. We've got Uday, here we go. Uday Gajendar here and Joe Morris. But Uday actually runs his own studio here in and also works as a community manager for Rosenfield Media, as you'll be running here. And then we've got Joe Morris, also a design systems manager from Wolverine Worldwide. And again, I've invited you both here because you've got this experience in this new Wild West. We've had conversations, or at least Uday, I've been following a lot of your conversations out online as well. And I wanted to invite this as a space that anybody, again, can raise your hand, jump in the conversation. I'm going to point a lot of questions at Uday and Joe to go ahead and take and lead us through the conversation. But this is really to create a community space and really share some field notes of what are we seeing out there in the field. And yeah, I really just want to hear from everybody of like, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? And how's it going for you? So, Udi, I'm gonna put you on the spot, or actually, if there's anything you want to add your, like anything people should know about you, but I'm gonna start you off that, are you seeing in teams that you work with all the time? I mean, what are the trends right now, if you would call it that, work faster because they have these new AI tools? Is this I'm making an assumption. So what
Yeah,
are you
sure.
seeing?
And hello, everyone, and thank you, Christy, for inviting me. Good to see you, Joe. Yeah, definitely happy to kind of kickstart this conversation. A couple of actual notes just in terms of my biography and experience with AI. I previously worked as UX architect at a company called Automation Anywhere, which is a company that's still around. Think of them as a competitor to ServiceNow with automated workflows. And so the mainstay of that era, this was just a few years before ChatGPT and so forth kind of exploded on the scene, this was all about bots. And so basically small little, kind of programmatic entities and using bots to automate workflows for accounting, finance, legal, HR, right? So many of the back office operations and the whole kind of the spirit of the genesis of that was to make workflows faster so that people can spend more time on the more strategic things. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
So that was really kind of the premise. And I was very much immersed in this world of rollout strategies for bot technologies in terms of setting up kind of like centers of excellence, of enabling these workflows where individuals who are completely unfamiliar with this kind of automating technology, maybe a bit, fearful, a little bit anxious about it, but then realizing the power that the bot technology had at that time. Fast forward to today, and to answer your question, Christy, around the trends that are going on, at least with the teams that I've been speaking with. Um, and to clarify, in my capacity as a consultant and a
Mhm.
coach through my design studio and so forth, um, is similar similar echoes and themes around the somewhat fear and anxiety and concern about the seduction of the accelerating technology and what it can do for you in terms of compressing time cycles and also moving much faster. But, there is that concern about where and how do we kind of preserve what is still true and fundamental, right? We still need to solve for customer pain points. We
Mhm.
still need to figure out where and how we break our design system. And I'm sure Joe probably has some thoughts around that. Where and how do we kind of supplement and support our brand?
Yeah.
And ultimately, how do we know we're making successful impact, whether or not it's AI driven, right? AI is an instrument, but it's not the end goal. And so there are all these kind of questions and concerns that the folks I've been working with have been tackling.
Yeah. And Joe, I guess to direct that at you, and then I am actually directing it at you guys too as an audience here. If you want to go ahead and drop something and like where or maybe some details how you're sensing it, where you're from. But like Joe, yeah, I know you're managing this across multiple brands too and having to juggle all of these different expectations. So I'd love to hear a little bit of, yeah, what does this feel like as a little tension in your space?
Yeah, thank you, Christy, and thanks everyone for being here today. I am the design system manager, as Christy pointed out, and a lot of what I do is bring together our system and our tools so that we are working from a common set of components, but also to the standards that help proliferate these components into a new platform. We're actually going to be rebuilding our platforms for all of our direct-to-consumer experiences. So at this time, we're using AI in our design systems and the way that we're able to suss out all of our various consumer needs, brand needs, business needs, and putting them all together in a way that we can communicate, in scale. Um, as far as answering your question goes, we just recently hired a director of AI.
Oh,
And
wow.
we have town hall meetings. And so we meet once a week with our leadership. And one of the things that is really kind of interesting to see is how our company is using AI different ways. So, it used to be back when we heard about the data lake and we're like, well, how do you get all this data out of the data lake to make it useful for our consumers in our business, right? Well, it seems now that we've got a tool that allows us to get a small bucket of that data and pour it out and then take a look at it and see what we have. I've heard so many great instances of we get these sales reports all the time, or we're putting together, PRs or actually a request for proposals from some other companies, and we're just getting all this information, and we're starting then to create agents that allow us to break down some of these, um, you know, business offerings, all the business speak that comes with it, being able to look behind the scenes a little bit with the data that's out there on the internet as well as in our company and saying, okay, we feel like we're heading in the right direction with, AI pointing us in this way. Um, from a design systems tools perspective, this has really been a game changer. For the last couple of years, we've been talking about replatforming. We've been talking about a design system. We get this nice convergence now. And we've had people that have been with the company for some time and maybe haven't had experience with a design system. And AI has helped us, create clarity, has helped us with scaling, terminology, being able to take all of our different tools and put them into like a common space so we can have it speak back to us in a way that we're used to learning, and which has helped us gain some confidence in our projection forward. So a lot of cool things happening here with AI and folks just trying to figure out how to use it and use it best, and some good stories to tell.
Yeah. Um, and I'm just looking at we have some really good people here on this call. I would love to hear from all kinds of folks in this call, but I was thinking, Joe, I'm seeing Lisa's question to you there about digging in a little bit more of how do you manage that? And even one of the questions I had here about balancing, I guess, how are you guys, do you have any practicals of how are you guys actually applying this and bringing the team along right now and governing how they start to apply this? Or from that AI kind of town hall. With again, careful to share what you can share.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Sheila, I'd love to vibe a little bit off your comment here too. We definitely have folks on our team that they just don't want to kind of give up the craft, or there's like the whole environmental part of it too. It creates such it heats the planet. But um, I think from what we've been able to gather as far as the tools go, it helps a little bit, but it still keeps us on board. Like as far as using AI for design, I've often, I've tried to use the Figma MCP server. I've tried to use like Figma Make, and I just look at it and I go, you know what? Close, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm taking this over, and I'll bring it back
Yeah.
into Figma
Yeah.
and go from there. Um, so I too have a love-hate relationship with it in that way, but there's certain things that have really just helped to move things along, especially if you got a small crew, right? It definitely becomes an assistant in that way.
yeah. Um, Uday, I was thinking too, I mean, as you're coaching and consulting, are you seeing people, or I mean, you do have some things you'd love to share here today, some stuff you've been talking about, but even just getting them started, and
Mhm.
how you're kind of introducing these ideas to them. Did you have?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it kind of varies because I'm talking to various people, both, startup leaders who are effectively like the C-suite, right? These are, kind of AI startups, executives, product leaders, engineering leaders. But then also I'm talking with kind of mid-level designers, mid-senior kind of staff level designers who are trying to figure out how to adopt these tools. I'll talk about the designers first, since I think that's probably the most pertinent here in terms of the audience. But um, to Sheila's point, there is a little bit of concern, this love-hate kind of a thing going on, right? With AI tools, there is so much promise and power. And so what I suggest is, at the end of the day, as a designer, I'm coaching uh, folks to say, look, you still have the agency and the power to decide what is a good design, right?
Mhm.
The AI is not dictating that to you. Instead, use the AI capabilities, generative AI tools, right? Whatever it is, whether it's Figma Make or Claude or V0, Lovable, whatever.
Mhm.
Use those tools to help explore what are your potential blind spots that you may be missing when you think about various iterations or design directions. Um, and when you start to feed in that content, I've actually noticed this myself, and I've had this with client projects, realizations about maybe it's about the particular, audience or the user type, about the industry, about just the I don't know what you may call the information ecology, if you will, the tool sets and so forth that I totally forgot about. I completely, didn't realize, right? So there's some interesting ways of surfacing that can then feed into your ability to kind of branch out and explore a wide variety of directions, not just little variants, but really diverse,
Yeah.
directions and conceptual kind of explorations. And then from there, trying to coach designers in terms of, yes, you're starting to select and so forth, and that selection process should be driven by you, right? It's not the AI. You know the domain and the industry and the user base foremost, and yet asking the AI once you feed in those requirements to tie back, provide that defensible rationale for each of these concepts. One of the projects, excuse me, I've been working with, or a client I've been working on together on this. Basically, it is a budget reconciliation tool for financial risk analysis. For I think I talked about it's basically university research, that kind of a thing. So very complex space.
Yeah.
There is this notion of traceability and explainability, right? When you do budget reconciliation, which very much has a strong parallel, I think, in working with Gen AI tools. What is that explainability layer? How can you surface that, and then try to find the tie back to your own way of thinking about that particular solution and so forth. And then the last thing is generating what I call a blueprint. Not a spec per se, but just enough definition and detail that the designer can then work with the engineering team or partner. And the idea here is surfacing up some of those issues that were identified and still making forward progress together, and not getting bogged down in too much heavy documentation. So that's what I call the 4 Bs, between blind spot, branching, bridging, and then finally the blueprint. That's kind of the way I've been coaching designers to engage with AI tools.
And then, sorry, Uday, is this the readiness kind of piece that you were working on? Okay.
It's somewhat related to it, with organizational readiness, and that's the angle I take
Yeah.
with more leadership teams, which is, yes, you guys are AI mandate, okay, that exists, that's there. How ready is your team in terms of experimenting,
Yeah.
providing and creating that safe psychological space to look at and to explore the possibilities, but also make mistakes, and realize, oh, hey, you know what? This tool really isn't living up to the hype that's been kind of pushed upon us. And then willingness to kind of push back and challenge even
Mhm.
leadership teams about what is the utility, the purpose, and value of what we're trying to do with AI, right? Is it simply a check a box? How much are we actually creating value for customers? And so I kind of developed this rubric around uh, writing this protocol for teams to really take a look at themselves, in terms of being able to adopt AI technologies.
Awesome.
Yeah, there tends to be a lot of information that you can gather from AI. It'll give you everything. And then it has to be matched with the communication part of it because you can't just go, hey, look at my screen. This is what was produced. So you
Right.
still need to communicate it, still need to have it like presented in a way that feels human, that connects with people. And then there's the interpretation on the other side of that. Communication is always 2 ways, right?
Mhm.
So then it's like, okay, understanding what we know now, a lot of information, do we feel confident to take a step? And I found that it does help with building confidence along the way.
Yeah. Um, Joe, I just want to not lose it, but I don't know if there was more releasing it. Not to get too far away from actually talking about that tooling again.
Oh yeah,
Do you recall her?
yeah. Um, I'm not sure if I'm having technical difficulties, but something was breaking up there. So
I
let me
know
know.
the audio
Okay.
was kind of, yeah, breaking up there.
Okay. Yeah, so the question was then really curious about AI design standards and design patterns, governance standards, and things like that. So um, honestly, a lot of what we're doing and a lot of what AI leverages is kind of already out there. It just helps us corral it and bring it in. So
Mhm.
as far as like design patterns go, there is a finite number of design patterns that are out there. People are used to shopping or visiting your site with the
Mhm.
precepts that they've seen something similar to that. So oftentimes, I'll corral a lot of this information and keep it in a page in Copilot. And those pages then become a notebook. I think they're starting to do something different with notebooks. I was just checking it out last night and I didn't see it readily available. I had to kind of fish around for it. But
Mm.
I think it's mostly because a lot of the AI models are starting to build memory, right? And they are used to referring back to the documentation that you're keeping there. So those design standards, if we have them written up or if we need them, we generate them and then we put them in a page for in our notebook so that we can constantly refer back to them. We've also too have started to create agents. So we'll say, okay, using this design pattern, say that let's go something simple like a form, with the ability to be able, like, say, enter your address, right, for shipping. What we'll say is like we have a billing or shipping form, and we want to like cover off all the use cases. It's amazing how much it recognizes that it's a form field, it's billing, it has something to do with a credit card, it's got the ability to capture the CVV code, the submit button. It already is quite aware of that design pattern because it already exists. But then what it does really nicely is that it gives you all those error states. It gives you random. Fun fact, they don't give you all the error states, but they'll give you most of them. You have to kind of like to apply your company's context and situation with that. But in any case, you get a lot of that data and you can just spit it out into an Excel document. You can use it as part of the documentation that you create for development. So that's one thing that we find very useful. One of the other things that we might actually employ it for too is to create the stories, a Jira story for development. So knowing that we have, this is fun, this is something a little different. We just adopted a UI kit, right? It's the basics, buttons, all the atoms, and a simple design system. But we also too have that next layer, those modules, those organisms and molecules. And what we've decided would be really important is if we started to move those components in one at a time, and we wanted to make sure that we were starting with the foundational components first, the very basic ones, because we didn't want to get too far down the way and just start like dumping in a bunch of components and then find out, oh, you know what, we do need some of those tier one components. So we used AI to figure out how do we want to move these components into production. It gave us 4 tiers. It allowed us to set the foundations, build the ones that are a little bit more integrated into like choices and forms. And then we have another one that's a little bit more about tables and about, charts and bigger items like that. And it was like a real nice breakthrough. We found out that, we shouldn't just be dumping everything into production. Instead, we should be staging it properly. And that type of thing has set us up for success. Now we're starting to move towards templates and all the bits we have in place. They're starting to formulate really well together.
That's awesome. I mean, so Joe, what I just heard you say, and this really ties in well, I think, to like Tom's question too, of like you think about what should and what shouldn't be like before. Have you guys working like Uday? I think about a little bit of like you have the framework now, but have you guys found like working with leadership, can they articulate this, or have like Joe, you've just given a story almost way like you guys had to come to that, you know?
Yeah.
And Tom, I don't know if you want to add too, or like go ahead and jump in if am I missing kind of what you wanted to pull out of that question, you know? Okay. Like, yeah, where have you seen success? How are people coming to articulate this to designers what they want
Christy, I'll jump in for a second just to clarify the
when they
question.
want AI?
Really, can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm finding that not that many leaders. So every company has AI somehow included in their strategy or their policy or whatever it is. But what I'm finding is not that many organizations, large or small, are explicitly looking at their people and saying, AI is happening. Here's what our expectations are for how it's going to impact your work, your job here in the future. And here are the expectations about how you're doing it. So people are scared to do anything or nothing regarding it. That's what I'm seeing. And then
Mhm.
I'm trying to coax leaders to take an explicit position to the point that we've developed templates now for CEOs of venture-backed startups.
Mm.
And it's like, what position do you want to take? All of these are in play, but you got to host a town hall, and silence is not serving anyone well. So I'm curious if others are experiencing similar things, different things. I've also seen some really positive stories where CEOs have taken really uncomfortable positions and it's gone really well as a result of it. They've let the teams lead. So I'm just curious kind of
Yeah.
what people are hearing, what's working, what kind of negatively disruptive impact do you see not addressing these issues, and how is that playing out in the workplace?
Yeah, I can speak to some of that. It's interesting. I can't help but draw a parallel to I think this was in the mid 2010s, 2015s, with the rise of design thinking, customer-centered innovation, those kinds of programs and initiatives. And, it became this kind of mantra among the executive suite, right? We got to do, CDI, customer-driven innovation, or design thinking, or whatever. What does that really mean, right? What is the goal? What's the target? What's the measure? What's the signal? And it's coming up again, right, with AI. I'm sensing, I mean, quite candidly, at least in terms of the conversations and the people I've been working with and consulting with, is it's very few. I think the leaders are looking for that direction. They are hoping somebody can provide numbers, can provide some kind of targets, some kind of clarity around what it means to be AI. Well, so there are two levels here, by the way. So there's AI in terms of a feature of the
Mhm.
product, right, that demonstrates AI fluency or whatever within the product itself. And then there's AI as adoption within, right, the cross-functional teams, especially product design engineering. Um, and I think this is where there is, I'll just candidly say, I think there's some fear and anxiety around what that means, and some fear around putting numbers around it,
Mm.
which points to, I think I see a comment there about, yeah, left to the SMEs, and left to the product leaders, engineering leaders, design leaders, which is where, and this is, I'm going to get a little bit on my soapbox here, a little bit, in the sense I've been coaching design leaders to please step up and be the
Mhm.
stewards and take ownership, because here is, in some practical sense, a vacuum of leadership. Okay, fine.
Mhm.
As designers step up, let's, lead the conversation cross-functionally with other peers in engineering and product, go to market, et cetera, to identify where and how we can have those impacts, both in terms of adoption as well as, features within the product.
I guess I had a question out here too, and uh, I mean when you're saying that like just how we use it, but also in the product, I was looking for like have you guys actually helped people draw lines? And Uday, I don't know if this is in your framework too, but like draw lines to like where you're separating what is AI assisted tasks and what is like where are you separating where the discernment is or where the craft is of like what you want people to hold tighter, as part of their work. And Joe, I don't know if you guys are doing this too, if like you started talking about like where you begin it, potentially. So, I mean, I'm jumping all over, but we could talk about even in the very beginning of a project or in an early work or if it's yeah, um while you're in delivery,
Yeah.
Either anyone who wants to jump in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it, Joe.
Okay, I'll just take a quick swipe through here. More or less, we have the ability to use Copilot. We're kind of like contained in Copilot in the Microsoft environment. And what's pretty cool about it is that it actually registers quite a bit of the company noise that is happening. So if one
Mhm.
team is kind of talking about scheduling and talking about a tool, you can query it while you're in the meeting and learn a little bit about it. I think that's kind of happening in every desk around me. Quite frankly, you get into a big corporation, you get the acronyms, you get the new latest thing that hasn't been fairly communicated across the company, and this particular form of AI, this like environment that we're in, we get a chance to kind of learn as we go. I have seen some people show up with something that is very much so AI generated, and it got them from point A to point B. Oftentimes, it doesn't survive the critique. There's usually something critical that comes in there. Um, you move fast, you try to bring something to the table, and you know what? That's kind of how we used to operate, anyways, right? Draw something on a piece of paper, bring it in.
Mhm.
Take the first swipe at doing a design and bring it to the table. Those iterations actually do kind of help us get there. As far as like, we rarely ever see anything that's like AI generated in a way that is like a PowerPoint presentation or, something that just seems to be so far left of what we're really trying to do here at Wolverine that it never really does make the cut. Um, Rarely ever see any of that too much. So I think people are just trying to find a rock to stand on in order to
Mhm.
like meet everybody else where they are.
Yeah.
Um, I do say though that I've seen changes in communication with people, like things become especially from some of our outside parties, um, very clear, very easy to understand. There's definitely a message, a task at hand, next steps or something like that. So in that way, I'm kind of grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
I was just gonna mention one of the last kind of projects I did before I went independent with my consulting at Aurora Solar, climate tech startup where I was leading a team of designers, and this was uh, around the time that Midjourney and those kinds of tools were starting to come on the scene, right? And I remember a couple of my designers, so we were immersed in this fairly intense, high strategic priority, high stakes kind of redesign of our sales platform for selling solar and so forth. And basically, you're creating like a sales playbook with various narratives and visual images and customization, kind of like a PowerPoint deck. And we did our usual kind of concept sketching and critiques and so forth. A couple of designers actually went ahead and started using Midjourney and a few other tools to generate some concepts of their own. Now, my philosophy as a manager is really uh, forgiveness, not permission kind of a thing. Like, I don't really care. It's like, go ahead and try it. Let's just see. And I'm really grateful to hear Joe mention the word critique because at the end of the day, you still bring those outputs, however it's generated, whether it's through your hand or through a tool, bring them into that conversation where we can collectively assess and interpret and analyze and break it apart and, kind of bulletproof it a bit and strengthen the design further, right? Which is the purpose of a
Mhm.
critique. So, going back to answering your question, Christy, I think it comes back to, and this is how at least I've been operating, in the guise of someone who is creating concepts as well as coaching people. Use AI wherever you think it could be useful. At the same time, you are the ultimate filter,
Yeah.
and your team can serve as that collective filter to critique it and strengthen it and so forth. Um, the I think the risk is sh- uh, going around or shortcutting yourself simply for the sake of acceleration or compression, but not bringing in the human quality. And I see what Greg has said. The
Mhm.
design, craft, and creativity is still 100% in the human hand and mind, and I think
Yeah.
that's still true.
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with Nicole the other day, today, talking about just critique and how much we miss that and seeing that of like there's so much value
Hmm.
in that mindset. And there's a risk here that as people can move so fast and far on their own, you can be blindsided and forget to ask those questions, right? Or check it ahead as you get so far. Um, so I'm loving to hear that you guys are, even Joe, what you're saying, like things don't make it once you do start pulling it into critique and it starts going off the rails, you know. But to that, I mean, if you guys don't mind, I'll jump ahead a little bit to kind of ask about like, what about, has there been scenarios here or pushback where you've actually had to fight for the space, like you said, talking about that balance over moving so fast. Have you like how have you been able to handle or kind of protect the space for teams to like not have to receive or pull all that pressure on the speed just because we can, you know? Or what have you seen kind of working out there?
I actually dealt with this exact issue just myself personally, where I was operating as kind of the consultant, but the hands-on consultant, actually, creating designs and so forth. And this was around the weekend that Claude Design exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so prior to that, this is on that budget reconciliation financial risk analysis tool. And so I created various wireframes, literally by hand, by pen sketches, and then took them into, I think I was using V0, Vercel at the time.
Uh-huh.
And, it generates some very nice interactive prototypes, even going beyond what I was initially thinking about. And I presented them to the client with a walkthrough, and I still said, look, this is just, exploratory sketches. I still want to take some time to think through it, and kind of do a little bit of critique with myself and, analyze it through various heuristics and stuff like that. The response was, well, we really need to show something to, I guess, their particular vendor. And they wanted to take what I made, put it through Claude Design to buff it up or do whatever Claude Design does,
Yeah.
and then show it to the vendor. I'm like, okay, go ahead. And so they disappeared for a week and they took it and they came back to me, and they were kind of frustrated, like, oh wow, this tool is not providing the magic that they were hoping for.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and which is I think the fundamental issue we're dealing with right now around there's the hype and promise, and then there's what we know to be true in terms of our lived experience, our expertise, the repertoire that we bring to the table. Um, so, yeah, I let them do what they felt like they needed to do because they had to get out of their system and just do it. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
came back and, we went through a round of iteration. And so I did some, user testing, of course, got some feedback, which I kept pushing on. We have to get user feedback. There's only so much I know or the Claude knows or whatever, right? So the proof
Yeah.
is in the human hands. So
Yeah, that's interesting. You just mentioned research. Oftentimes, too, we'll be able to take the transcripts from user research that we do and we drop it into Copilot and we're like, pull out some big themes. And yeah, I just did a test one day. I was just like, okay, cool. See your big themes, Copilot. Thank you. I'm still going to go watch the videos. And it's amazing with the context of someone's
yeah,
face or like
Wow.
how
yes,
they said this is easy, but you could see them struggling. Like all that stuff is still real and
yeah,
it's still relevant. So it's, a language model. It's not like particularly an emotional language model, so there's
right.
still a gap there. And I
Uh-huh.
think it's true too, like when we are building things, we have a prototype and we put it out there, it has this sense of like being almost done. And it's really good to feel like you're almost done. But oftentimes there's still stuff underneath that needs to get propped up. There's still like, this is going to involve now our trade merchants, right? We've come up with the
Mm.
solution, but now we got to tell our trade merchants, this is how you use it. This is like how to get the most out of it. And we often meet them with, wow, this is so foreign. We like it, but now how do we use it? And so, playbooks and things like that, there's still all the little things that have to happen. It's easy to feel like it's done when you see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to add, just building on what Joe was
Yeah.
saying, I think the fundamental theme here, at least that I am realizing through my conversations and consultations and so forth, is nobody has this figured out yet, right? We are still figuring it out. It's happening in real time. And that really kind of requires, even demands, a level of humility
Mm-hmm.
in the face of hype, which is hard to do when you're scrolling through LinkedIn and you see these posts about people bragging about how they built some brand new product in a weekend and, put it on the App Store. Um, it's a tenuous time because you want to acknowledge, yes, people are doing some fun things and amazing things. You want to learn from them. And then you've got your leadership team that's, kind of breathing down on your neck and so forth. This comes back to leadership, right? And the ability to kind of stand your ground and push back and challenge, politely, right? That, hey, we need to have some space, we need to have some signals, we need to have a runway that can help us together articulate what it is we're trying to do with AI.
Yeah, and priorities. Yeah, every
Yeah,
business has certain priorities, and it's not like you can just run all these ideas out there and gain all the
right.
monetary value from it. You still have to go, okay, wait a minute, with what we have, who we have, who are our third-party vendors in this thing? Like, how do we get everybody aligned so that we have a path towards success?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I've got maybe one last question, then I really want to open it up if people want to ask some more questions. I mean, if you have to look at a team's culture, to see like, I know we're all figuring this out, but if you might want to give them kind of a measure of what might be a successful balance, they might want to give themselves um, between that, like what is good enough and what is actually, when are they being successful with the crafts? Like, what are some of those signals maybe on a team that you'd say like they're managing it well as a culture? Yeah, think about that.
I think one is just like team awareness, to have everybody on the same page for this big idea, whatever it might be that you're using AI for. It's I often say it's scale and confidence, right? So it's you take that first step and you move it out to somebody else, and then they will say, I get it, let me take it a little bit further, or let me help you, with what you're doing and get you in touch with somebody or the team that's going to help build that. So for me, it's like getting that spark that's going to catch the fire.
Yeah, I like how you say that, Joe. I think for me, it comes back to um, that space of conversation and kind of this permission structure kind of a thing that we are all exploring it. We're learning, we're sharing, and really taking that leadership position of, shaping out what it means to use AI for us,
Mm-hmm.
right, in our team. So I think what's going to be really fascinating, maybe towards the end of this year, maybe early next year, is to almost do like see a comparison between, you got like your small startups, you've got the giant companies like an IBM or JP Morgan Chase, you've got the mid-stage companies. How are people adopting AI? How does the design culture, I don't know, express or represent itself in terms of that adoption?
Mm.
And what are some of the common signals across them in terms of the rituals, uh, the patterns and habits that are reflected?
I mean, we're doing this live ourselves. I mean, I see that with you of like how many times have we been through this, but you still see a core inside the work, but you gotta be open to those ideas of how it changes entirely how you
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Um, but I would love to hear from other people, like how is there something else you guys are doing to like hold the craft, or hold that space? Feel free, Sheila. Team of
See y'all.
one. You gotta do it on your own. Yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm a team of one too, kind of.
True.
Consultants, but also work with teams inside other organizations. Yeah, I've almost felt like we've leaned in to have to be more communicative, more reviews than before. And I think it's because of this exploratory nature and this emergent nature of what we're dealing with. So in a weird way, I dealt with one CEO where we were having two design review sessions a week. Not kidding, like
Yep.
long ones. And he's like, why are we doing this? And it's like, it feels like it's so long and it's taking so much time. And I'm like, then started coming to them and he's like, oh my God, we're getting so much done here. Like he
Mhm.
got it. So I don't know. I'm feeling like more communication is needed rather than less at this point. I don't know if anyone's managed to do it with less, but I certainly haven't.
Yeah.
We're in a culture of meetings all week
Mm-hmm.
long. It might
Mm-hmm.
be what you're saying is true. I'm so like in the boiling water. I feel that. Yeah, a lot of meetings, a lot of
But
communication.
the pace, Lisa, like you bring up, like that's the pace at which you can move if you can move everybody together at the same time. But if you can't bring everybody together, suddenly a whole giant group has moved off in a whole different direction really quickly. So
Yeah, this was a meeting with the CEO, with the designer, UX designer, with the BA, and then with production design, all in the room, and with the like tech liaison folks to just make decisions, like get them done.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, so it was a lot of firepower, but we also could move faster. And that there was a suggestion to quit doing those meetings, and someone's like, "Oh no, no, let's," because we could get everyone on the same page pretty quickly.
yeah. Two things I saw is AJ, were you gonna lean in on this too? So you're coming off mute.
Wait, what was the question?
No, I was just saying, like, as you're seeing people hold the craft or hold the space for the craft, you know.
Oh, well, I'm not doing any AI in a creative realm. I think that's where the exciting stuff is I don't know if it's very good at creativity. It's great at suggestions, it's great at drafts and, maybe brainstorming, but again, I don't know. I mean, I come at it from, I say all that. I mean, I come at it from an art school point of view where I sat through so many um, critiques that
Yeah.
there's different types of critiques, and certain ones were really great, and maybe this is beneficial. It's like like in my fine art critiques, we weren't allowed to use the word like. I can't say I
Yeah.
like this.
Like,
What does that
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. So maybe there is going to be like movement towards having better discussion around what's working and what's not working and what the effect is of certain
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Um, Definitely, in the work that I've been doing with, providing research strategies and things like that, it does provide, I leaned into analog instead of digital because I hate when things go to die on a server. Digital just sucks. I'm sorry, it does. Nobody wants to read like an 18-page PDF. They don't.
no, I'm like,
They don't, but they also don't want to read an 18-page paper, but that paper
yeah.
also sits on the desk of the person that's supposed to read it, and it gets put in a drawer and then gets handed to the next person and then write notes on it. So my initial like research project, I turned into a workbook. It
Yeah,
became the thing, like the tool was not the things because when you're research is garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's like here's
mhm,
like a general intelligence assessment. Let's just start at general. That we're going to agree that probably some of this is wrong because this is just pulled off of public
yeah,
knowledge stuff. But let's use this as a workbook to set priorities and figure out what the top tasks are, and then we'll use that those things,
build,
figure out what are the actual problems, like the actual signal that we want to design, because the best design is the right design, not just the pretty
yeah.
design. Um,
A- AJ, I hate to
yeah,
cut you off here. I know I have to lose Uday here soon, that you are busy and running, but I will make a quick short plug too. There is another event locally here that I think a few of us are going to run off to. So I'm looking forward to keeping up the conversation. But Uday, I want to thank you too if you do have to run off. Um, and I do hope we can follow up. We can keep this going just a few minutes more, but I know we're going to lose him. So
Right.
I'll let us go a little longer. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Um, AJ, I lost your screen.
yeah,
Okay, but I'll
yeah.
let you finish. Sorry.
Yeah,
So, but I love this
so
workbook
I think
idea.
it's choosing what is, well, one, like any like good researcher is like what is the actual problem that we want to solve, either internally or externally. Knowing that is the first step, or else you can, go really fast at something that nobody asked you to do,
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the work that I'm doing, like my whole thing is folder structures. That's like my passion, which is so weird. And I can explain more because I think the AI thing, like I'm AI agnostic. Like I don't care who the processor is. What does that mean that you're going to lose your work if you quit? Like if
Right.
code doesn't exist in 2 years, did you just lose 2 years of knowledge? Like that would suck. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Like make sure that you're running like certain markdowns and certain structures so that the question is like, can you get better at it?
Yeah.
You know, and like in our first initial like launch into something is like really sitting with the person and being like, what is the worst problem in your job? Let's work on that. And really the step is going to be, creating like a workflow. Um, and that becomes the ultimate creativity product thing. If I can get your stupid legal document into the stupid accounting document, which doesn't match, but I can do this, I can empower you to basically create your own software. Like, like this is a software specifically built for your problems, your needs, and have it so that it includes human oversight in each step of the way. Like
Right.
that's a
That's,
win. And when we did that, I'm just like, sweet, I just saved $10,000. Like that's awesome.
yeah.
And then it's just really good at analysis. But I think with the folder structures, the real question is like when I hear people say they're using AI, and it's like that's great, but how do you get better? And unless you're
Yeah.
implementing the folder structures and the like having someone in the markdown system, like the whole goal is that I don't want to do this twice. I want
Mhm.
to get better every single time. It's like a learning,
Yeah.
self-evolving tool. So,
Um,
but yeah.
I I'm just realizing we're at like maybe 10 more minutes, but I know a few of us are running soon, but I did want to address too. Greg did point out one question, and I did have it on my question list as well. Is like, have any of you been really explicit or called that out? And Joe, I don't know if this has been something, like you guys have been really clear with that town hall group or that leadership to how you're using it, but and where is AI in play?
Is this involving Tom's question about AI amplifying individuals?
I'm thinking more about like the craft or like calling up the like where and how you've used it, like being explicit to helping people understand when they see something, what was created by AI and what you've done.
I can speak to that question a
Yeah, that'd
little
be
more
great.
real quick, just because like I noticed now too, on like my business like Instagram page now, I posted a like a mock-up of my website. So I had took a screenshot of my website. This is a really simple example. Asked Chat GPT or Gemini to make a phone mock-up really quick because that's one of the things in creativity. I'm like, there's no benefit for me spending an hour photoshopping this screen onto a phone. There's no craft involved in that.
Right.
So I put that in there. It kind of looks like an AI mockup, but it looked fine. But now when I put that into Instagram or post that, you do get a little AI info label that comes to it now.
Oh,
So I'm wondering, I'm like, oh, now that that's coming up, like wondering if I should be like, hey, here's what I did. Here's what I use AI to assist me with. So somebody maybe doesn't think like, oh, AI designed Greg's whole website. It was like, nope, I was just using it at the very end to save me a couple hours here. So that's kind of the thing now too, knowing everybody's using it to be really explicit, to be like, I did this specific thing and I had AI do this specific thing, like giving each of those credit.
I'd be curious, Joe, of how you guys are going. I do know working personally with other clients, some clients have that originally they were very hesitant in adopting it and they wanted to hear that very explicitly because they wanted to know what was being shared and what wasn't and where it was. Where I'm sure there's like government would be a whole different sensitivity. But like, Joe, I don't know if like you guys are seeing that even inside a corporate culture of like how they want to be very clear of what you guys are using and what you aren't using it on.
I mean, at this point, since we just hired a director of AI and we've had this, in our town hall once, I asked outright, like, what's our policy on AI? And they said, you know what, we haven't come up with one yet. And we're just going to be honest with you, like, we're working on it and we're going to, hopefully everyone can pretty much draw a line to an assistant, which is
Yeah.
the AI model, which take that as you will. It's kind of sort of strange, but it's the idea that, if it can help us with the small crew that we have to kind of get things up and going, then let's get it bubbled up. And as, teams of humans, let's go and look at it and figure out, how do we draw a line from here to shipping the product. So I haven't seen anything to do with our products being like designed by AI. I don't see any of that. Most of what we're doing is just creating agents within Copilot to do things like writing stories, to helping us like communicate the ideas to various teams, sifting through the data and things like that. So I would say at this point we're still trying to pull things apart and see what it can do. You know, there's no governance though per se on like our sites are going to be designed by AI or that our products are going to be designed by AI. There's nothing like that happening.
And it's interesting. I'm hearing you, Greg, that you're getting tagged, but and maybe I'm also blind to this and too immersed in it that I'm like, oh, I didn't know actually we have to credit that, make that call out. So yeah, this is a really good question. Um, well, I don't know if anybody has any other questions. We've got just a couple minutes, but we're over time right now. Um, Tom, you always have parting thoughts, or if anybody wants to say anything you're taking away from this, or anything we missed covering, or what you'd like to talk about another time, what would you love to hear us kind of dive into again?
I think we
Go.
touched on the AI with creativity. That's kind of the more side I dive into. So I'd like to get into that more. I know Alexander was talking about maybe not needing it for creativity, and that's maybe the human's role. I'm not trying to quote that directly there. I might have gotten that wrong. But on my side as well, like I think AI is the thing right now that's sparking the creativity. Like I'm able to just run through 10 concepts really fast, and they may be the 10 worst concepts you've ever seen in your life. But I'm able to like pull certain things from each of those or be like, oh, we definitely shouldn't go that direction, or we should do this and get different ideas. Because again, it's something that would have taken you like months to explore before. So it's neat to just get that out of the way. But at the same point, we're never using AI as the final, creative output.
I would like to say that there probably is a great use of AI in processing of creative files, but not necessarily like certain assets or the full thing.
Sure.
I'm just so like it would be so great if I never had to edit a video again. But I don't think it's going to take a great video in the first place,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just saw something the other day about Mobbin, where it has basically all of the mobile displays and apps and things that are out there, anywhere from like Target to Etsy to all the other design patterns that are out there. And you can look at a lot of them for free, and there's a few others that are, behind a paywall. But it turns out that you can run Claude against it and then have it, if you have a design pattern, say like you're doing a consumer sign up form and you want to get some of the best practices that you can get out of that, you can run Claude through Mobbin, and then it will actually like throw something in Figma for you that says like, you can even put your own designs against it and say, here's my consumer sign-in form, and how does this rate against all the others out there? And so if you have that synchronization going on, it'll show you yours, call out all the things that you've got going on with it, call out accessibility, etc. And then it'll start showing you these other design patterns right near yours and talk about how one's better or where one needs improvement. So pretty cool idea.
Yeah. I'm like, I could say so much about that. Being overwhelmed by all of this, that you can now do and so fast. And this is our world. We all have to move faster, but at the same time, I think we all want to put up the good work, doing great quality work, and how to put ourselves in that. So, just to be respectful of time, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thank you very much, Joe, for your time. And thank you, everybody, for this conversation. I've really appreciated having folks jump in here. So, this has been great. And we'll hope to see you again soon. All right.
Thank you,
And we'll
everyone.
follow up with some insights. All right. So thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you next time.
Bye.